Hello everybody, it's Chris Clark with discgolf.law coming to you today to talk about the Disc Golf Pro Tour's recent update to their gender eligibility policy. As many of you know, especially if you're a subscriber to this channel, on July 14th, the Disc Golf Pro Tour made a shocking announcement that they would be either relocating or canceling the FPO division at many of the Pro Tour's remaining events this year. The explanation that the Pro Tour gave for this drastic policy change was that they just simply did not have the budget to continue to fight multiple legal battles in multiple states against Natalie Ryan. In case some of you don't know, Natalie Ryan is a female transgender disc golfer who has successfully, in 2 instances now, legally filed suit to force the Pro Tour to allow her to play in the female protected division in 2 Disc Golf Pro Tour events. Looking ahead to future events on the calendar, the Disc Golf Pro Tour, I think, correctly surmised that they were likely to face additional lawsuits. In fact, Natalie had already announced that she would be filing in at least 1 more state, which would be Vermont. And so the Pro Tour, rather than have to face the difficulty of allocating funds to legal defenses, made the decision to cancel certain events in certain states. Fast forward to July 25th, surprise, the Disc Golf Pro Tour says we were just kidding. They reversed course, and they have now reinstated the FPO division at all of the remaining Pro Tour events. But there is a catch. The announcement the Pro Tour made on July 25th was of a new series of events called the United Series. This is an event designation that is being applied to existing events on tour with an adjusted gender eligibility criteria. So in order for me to explain that better, it's important to understand what the PDGA's gender eligibility policy says. And the section of the PDGA's gender eligibility policy that is being focused on with this new announcement from the Pro Tour is Section C. And Section C has 3 subsections. C1 is a criteria whereby transgender women can play in the FPO division if they have undergone hormone therapy for a particular amount of time and have met a certain testosterone level based on a blood test. Subsection C2 requires the transgender athlete to have had gender-affirming surgery and meet a certain testosterone level. Subsection C3 is the most stringent requirement, and that requires a transgender woman athlete who wants to participate in the FPO division to have transitioned prior to going through male puberty. That criteria in subsection C3 is the one that has been in effect on the Pro Tour this year and is the policy that Natalie Ryan has successfully on 2 occasions now challenged in court. So the centerpiece of the Disc Golf Pro Tour's announcement about the new United Series is that events that get the United Series designation will permit female transgender athletes to compete in the FPO division if they meet criteria C1. So at events that have the United Series designation, which include Ledgestone, the Discraft Great Lakes Open, the American Flying Discs Open, the Discmania Open, and the MVP Open, transgender women who can meet that C1 criteria, the hormone therapy and testosterone level criteria, which Natalie Ryan meets, can participate in those events. I should also note that the C1 requirements are going to be applied at the PDGA World Championships as well. There are certain events on the Pro Tour remaining this year that did not get this United Series designation. Those are the Mid-America Open, the LWS Open at Idlewild, and the Disc Golf Pro Tour Championship. No announcement has been made yet about the U.S. Disc Golf Championships, but given the fact that they are taking place in South Carolina, I would expect the PDGA to maintain that C3 criteria, the most stringent criteria for USDGC. Now, the reason that I say that is the decision appears to have been made based on whether certain states have strong legal protections in place relative to gender identity. In other words, states that are likely to rule in Natalie Ryan's favor when she argues that transgender women are women and therefore belong playing in the FPO division. The events in those states now have gotten the United Series designation. The Disc Golf Pro Tour has said that this new plan to award this United Series designation to certain events but not others has wide-ranging support among the FPO field. Natalie Ryan has said that while she is pleased that she and other transgender women, if they choose, can participate in some of these Disc Golf Pro Tour events this year, that choosing to discriminate sometimes rather than all the time is still a losing strategy, and that she will not stop fighting. Sarah Hokum, who essentially came out in support of the Disc Golf Pro Tour's announcement, did say that this is still a compromise that most of the FPO field doesn't want to make. The spin from the Disc Golf Pro Tour, and I do believe it is spin, is that at some events remaining this year, that would be the ones that have this United Series designation, we can celebrate inclusion. That's going to be the theme of the United Series events, is to celebrate inclusion. Whereas the events that remain that did not get the United Series designation, those are going to be for celebrating fairness, celebrating competitive fairness. I've had lots of conversations with folks about this. I have read lots of comments online about this. It seems that people who are on both sides of this issue are not happy, and I have found over the years, if you have a negotiated result that both sides think is unfair, it probably is a fair result. And so just to continue that line of thinking, I do want to give credit to the Disc Golf Pro Tour. I have said before in my videos that I think the PDGA and the Disc Golf Pro Tour have found themselves in an extremely difficult and complicated situation relative to this issue. Argument can be made that it was a situation of their own making, but nevertheless, let's not focus on the past. Given the situation that the Disc Golf Pro Tour found itself in, I believe that this is objectively a good solution. It's not perfect. It's not going to make everyone happy. No solution is. But on balance, I think that while our sport continues to grapple with this complicated issue, just like many other sports, this solution seems to make sense. So I would characterize the Disc Golf Pro Tour in this situation as a winner. And I want to talk about who are the winners and losers as a result of this announcement and this new policy. And so let's start there. I think the Disc Golf Pro Tour is a winner not only because they have been able to save the FPO division for the rest of the season, but also because now they are not faced with having to figure out how to run separate events simultaneously in separate states. I think that would have been a logistical nightmare, especially with such a short time frame in which to get ready to do something like that. And so I think the Disc Golf Pro Tour comes away as a winner here. Also a winner, I think fans. Especially fans who have tickets for live DGPT events or who are intending to attend Disc Golf Pro Tour events in person. This was one of the points that had me the most confused about the Disc Golf Pro Tour's prior announcement about canceling the FPO division at many events, because when you buy a ticket to an event expecting to see men and women competing, and then they cancel the women's portion of the competition, it just seems like a really bad look for the Pro Tour relative to the fan experience. I think the FPO division overall is a winner here as well. The FPO division was facing having to play in these hastily assembled events in other states, or possibly facing the cancellation of certain events, or perhaps even their season altogether. Again, while I realize not everybody thinks this is a perfect solution, at least we have secured the FPO division for the remainder of the season. Couples traveling together are a big winner in this announcement, in my opinion. I alluded to this in my prior video, but there are lots of male-female couples that tour together, they travel together, they share the same lodging, and for a scenario where the FPO division was to be competing in another state, in a completely different area from the MPO division, it would have made it very difficult for those couples logistically. I think tour sponsors and event sponsors are winners as well. Tour sponsors were wondering what exactly the outcome would be when they had signed up and frankly paid for a sponsorship for the season that included the MPO and the FPO division. How would the Disc Golf Pro Tour have handled that from sponsors who now may have had collateral at a male-only event or a female-only event? Getting both divisions back together at the remaining Pro Tour events for the season, I think, is a win for sponsors. Those are some winners. Who are the losers from this announcement? I would say what I would characterize as the all-or-nothing crowd on both sides of this issue are losers. In other words, we see frequently online opinions expressed that don't seem to have any room for negotiation or compromise. Obviously, those folks are upset, and as I said, they exist on both sides of this issue, and this compromise solution is not going to make any of them happy, and so I feel like they're probably losing out on this new announcement from the Pro Tour. Who else are losers? The lawyers. Particularly, I'm talking about the lawyers hired by the Disc Golf Pro Tour and the PDGA. They may have been chomping at the bit to dig into some of these lawsuits that Natalie Ryan was likely to file in other states. And now they're going to lose out on those legal fees, unfortunately, at least for the remainder of this year. There's still obviously a lot of questions remaining about this issue and what this might mean for the future of our sport. Please stay tuned to our channel, comment, like, subscribe, and we'll do our best to bring you the latest analysis as soon as we can. Thanks for watching.